Hello, everyone. This is Joel, um, and this is sort of I guess, another post rebuild video, a post mortem, if you will, of the greatest, most successful um, franchise mode in any sports sim I've ever done. Madden, NBA 2K, NBA Live, you freaking name it. Uh, but this, if you just take a second and look at this, that's 17 championships right there. And you may be asking yourself, how in the world could someone put together a 17 these are 17 straight championships. How could someone put together 17 straight NBA championships in 2K? Now that obviously this is past gen 2K, this is 2K14. Um, Freaking love this game. This was my jam back in high school, and um, since I don't have a PS4 or Xbox One, um, for a while this was my most recent 2K. Actually, I have 2K18 for PS3, so I might do some rebuilds on that and upload them to YouTube. Um, but for now, we're just gonna roll with this. And this is gonna be probably the most I've ever done in a rebuild ever. I hope that I never have to do this again. That I never force myself to do this again. Because it's exhausting. But it's fun, it's rewarding. I love it. This started probably last Tuesday because today is Friday May 8th, 2020. Um and I started this rebuild I think 10 days ago. I think I started it last Tuesday. I may have even started it before that. Point is, it took 3 sessions to complete this of just me sitting down, going, and just making my way through this monstrosity of a rebuild and grinding through this game because this was a heck of an effort. It was really, really hard, and I hope that I'm able to convey just how insane this rebuild is. So we're in the postseason retirements. The goal for me was to eventually my mo my modus operandi was just to keep going until Anthony Davis and Andre Drummond retired. And you may be going, what? Anthony Davis as a Milwaukee Buck? Yes, I got him in the 2021 offseason. I traded away Michael Carter Williams and some solid big man, I can't remember his name, to the Thunder and got Anthony Davis because I was unable to sign him in free agency. Now, there were some cons to that. I did get a big freaking contract, but I got the best power forward in the league, and for a while, the best player in the league. 11 times NBA champion, 11 times an All-Star, second team All-NBA, third team All-NBA, never first team All-NBA, I guess, just always the bridesmaid but never the bride as far as that's concerned, but doesn't matter. 11 freaking rings. Okay? League leader in blocks. Now that was with New Orleans. And he was actually on 1 or 2 Pelicans teams, and we'll check in a minute here once we sift through the retirements. But he was on 1 or 2 Pelicans teams we had to face in the finals. And again, sorry for the shaky cam, but I'm just holding it in my hand and not a professional. I'm just doing this for fun. And hopefully I can make more videos soon, just talking about basketball in general and putting my opinion out there. So let's just get into this. But But there, I just wanted to show everybody proof. Just beyond a shadow of a doubt that I had these guys. Also, poor soul. I never had him in Milwaukee in this rebuild, but it just... don't you notice something missing from his trophy case? You know, maybe a championship somewhere in there. And this is, I guess, kind of what you would expect in 2013 Kyrie Irving's career would have gone like. To where he would have been a solid player, but not an all-time great. Now, you know, obviously, you know, even my opinions from back in the day, they've been changed drastically due to what he did with LeBron and Kevin Love in Cleveland, and I still think he's one of the best point guards in the league in real life. I hope he and KD can bring a title to Brooklyn. I really do. I really want to see that happen. But in this game, nothing. Was with the Cavs for a while and then left for the Knicks. As you can see, he spent 7 years with the Cavs and then joined the Knicks. I sort of remember when that happened and just going, wow. Because that was around the time that Melo bounced to the Hawks from the Knicks, and then Kyrie came in. Just to provide that uncomfortable reminder of the time when the Thunder traded Melo to the Hawks, and then he was, I think, waived or bought out or whatever, and then he signs with the Rockets, and we all know how that debacle came about. You know, I'm happy that Melo's on a team, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest Melo guy. So I guess that now that that's over with, let's go through it. Oh, yes. Here we go. Yep. They deserve to be Hall of Famers. Definitely. Definitely. And Leonard Hayward was a guy I wanted to go for. Leonard Hayward was solid. Oops, sorry, I'm just changing hand position here. Brendan Irving. Crap, I forgot to mention this guy. So this guy, if the face will load, or the cyberface they just gave up because he's retired, he was on the Bobcats forever, kind of held it down for them. Player progression menu. This is now you get to meet some of the players. And my God, there were a lot of solid players. Now, this was not the best team, like, even with AD and Drummond, you know, because we just won our 17th straight championship, and the rebuild's over, because they retired. That's it. Tommy Bernard, the Timberwolves drafted him. After 3 years in Minnesota, we traded for him, and thank God we did, because this guy is a god. He won MVP in 2031. We have a player that wins the MVP almost every year. Whoops, my bad. Chris Page. He's now going to replace Andre Drummond going forward. Even though I'm not going to do the rebuild in this hypothetical alternate universe, he would replace Drummond if I continued this. Mac Payton. Started out with the Indiana Pacers. Hell of a player. How do I put this? We traded for him in the 2023 offseason. We traded Bob Kirkland, who was the CPU-generated player that we'd kind of built up for a while. We traded him and someone else, and I cannot remember who it is because I'm tired right now and it's like the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock morning. I don't even know what time it is. Don't care. Mac Payton. He's won the MVP twice. Okay. And 2030, he was the MVP. 2030 is a season I will never forget because that's the season we went 80-2. And I'll repeat that for those who can't, who you know, may have thought they misheard me the first time. We went 80-2. We went 80-2. And, now this last season we just did, which was the last season, the last dance, so to speak, because obviously that miniseries is out right now. We went 72-10. How fitting that we tied the record of, in my opinion, the greatest team in NBA history, the '96 Bulls. How fitting that in our last dance we tie them. Which the end of this run concludes a, I'm guessing a 12-year streak of 70 wins or more. Which 2030 was the apex with obviously that 80-2 record. But we've had records like 76-6, which was the case in the second to last season. But I want to say for our first 4 or 5 championships, we were in the 60s. We toyed around. We were in like the 64 range. But, once we were on. I mean, oh my god. We were absolutely ridiculous. And, again, with continuing this tradition of finals MVPs being given to the starting point guard, which, why? Ernest Byers. This is a young guy we just traded for. He's, okay, back-to-back with us. Great. I don't have to care about him anymore. Solid player. We traded Jonathan Dennis to the Nuggets for him, and a lot of these names you're not going to know because they're CPU-created players, so just hang with me. Jonathan Dennis was a solid small forward. He was going to be basically Paul George's replacement, but eventually the hard cap battle became a bit much. So, in order to keep Anthony Davis and someone else, can't remember who off the top of my head, but now it doesn't matter anymore. Does not matter anymore. We traded Jonathan Dennis and I think the guy's name was Roland Jensen to the Nuggets for Ernest Byers. And for a minute there, I did a spit take and thought, wait, like Ernest Biner, like the Browns player from back in the... Nope, Ernest Byers. Different guy. Stuart Barrow. He literally just won the freaking MVP, which... What? I was not expecting this. Because typically it went to Otis Cobb, or it went to, Mac Payton, or, someone like that. Which, unfortunately, Andre Drummond never won the MVP, to my recollection. Should have. Andre Drummond in this rebuild, to me, was kind of like... It was a weird mix of Patrick Ewing and Bill Russell. Because it was kind of like, Celtics-type dynasty, but with like a Ewing-type player there, being a rock, being healthier in his career. Because obviously Patrick Ewing's knees, by the mid-90s, were absolutely scorched. Absolutely scorched. Otis Cobb. This guy has how many? 4 MVPs. 14 championships out of the 17. Started out with Boston, 1 Rookie of the Year. 1 Rookie of the Year with Boston. And then, we traded for him. And I guess we traded for him around the time we got Damian Lillard. I can't remember who our starting point guard was. No. We had Chris Paul. And then eventually we got Damian Lillard. We've had a lot of star power. We had Paul George at one point. We had Kevin Durant. I should probably talk about what happened in the 2014 offseason. Because our first season, we were absolute trash. Which season 1, which in this case is 2013-14, we tanked so freaking hard. Oh, here, Sean McLeod. And I'll get to McLeod in a second. 2014, we drafted... Oh, I can't remember who we drafted. But I think it was someone who was underwhelming that we eventually had to trade, just because he wasn't cutting the mustard. He just wasn't great. And yeah, this video is gonna go pretty long. I'm noticing the time right now, but I hope everyone's able to hang in there with me, because it's late, and hopefully some of you folks out there will appreciate this. Dale Barkley makes me think of like a 60s haircut. 2014 offseason. We couldn't get LeBron in free agency. We had to sign Kobe. As sort of like okay, we get Kobe, because like prime Kobe, that would be great, but it's older Kobe. So we flipped Kobe to Detroit. We traded him to Detroit because we didn't give him a no-trade clause. We signed him straight up. Although we did put a player option on his contract, which in these games makes it easier to sign guys than if you just did the deal straight up. And the Detroit Pistons basically became our farm system. And I feel like a fool because I should have had Isaiah Thomas instead of Kyle Lowry. I should have kept Isaiah Thomas instead of trading him for Kyle Lowry way back then. Anyway, McLeod. This was gonna be the guy. This is the true replacement for Anthony Davis. Hello, there we go. 10 times NBA champion. 2030 All-Star. 6th Man of the Year this last season. Rookie of the Year. First team All-Rookie. And we traded someone major. Oh, you know what? We traded Derek Favors to New Orleans for him. I think that's what happened. This guy is an absolute unit. Like, just unbelievable. Dale Barkley, young, and is the starting point guard of the future, which no longer matters. Where is... really? That's all he's done? Okay. Yeah. Let's go through it. And yeah, we're not gonna be doing anything. We're just gonna be, here we go. Yeah. We just... Oh, and we just beat the Nuggets in the finals, too. So Jonathan Dennis and Roland Jenkins, we just destroyed them. Anyway. Past champs. Soak it up, folks. Soak it up. By the way, funny twist. To start off the rebuild, the Spurs actually did win the title. Oh, that reminds me, we had Kawhi Leonard at one point. We traded before the 2015 season, because again, and as I put that controller there, we signed like Danny Granger, we signed Isaiah Thomas, we signed Kyle Lowry, we signed Kobe. We flipped Kobe to the Pistons for like Josh Smith. We did some insane freaking deals. Gosh. Because before the 2013-14 season, I was trying to get Drummond, was unsuccessful, got him before the 2014-15 season, I think by trading Isaiah Thomas there or something. I don't even remember now. And I'll probably look in some of the texts that I sent to a friend who's actually a Bucks fan. I'll look at them later and go, oh, that's what those trades were, and then I can put them in the comments for this video, because that off-season was wild. But because that's probably one of the craziest off-seasons. I mean, 2021, I think, was the off-season that we signed KD and AD, you know, Durant and Anthony Davis. Oh yeah, and we traded Chris Paul to the Warriors after he just won like 2 titles with us because he was already regressing. This rebuild is kind of like... It's kind of like gosh. This rebuild is kind of like the New England Patriots or San Francisco 49ers of rebuilds, to where adapt or die, as Billy Bean says in Moneyball. A lot of just taking young guys, or taking like veterans or younger guys that aren't quite progressing the way you want them to, and flipping them for young talent that will. And here's MCW, Finals MVP for all 3 of those years. We traded him in 2021 for Anthony Davis. I think I already mentioned that. Chris Paul we traded to the Warriors for some young freaking guard. I can't remember his name. And then we flipped him. There were a lot of trades in that offseason to where eventually I was able to get back someone I liked and could stick with as someone for the future. Otis Cobb, Mac Payton. There's Damian Lillard. Lillard retired, I think, right after this Finals MVP win, or after this next championship here. I can't remember which. Matthew Perkinson. I think he's still in the league. Spurs lifer. Well, obviously not, because we signed him in free agency in, like, around in this area. And then, he was basically our guy off the bench. We were like a fusion of the Spurs, the Patriots, and the Niners, like, because we had a lot of veterans, but we also dumped old guys for new ones, but we also had a core of old guys, so it was really weird. But yeah, and Kawhi retired with 6 rings because he was part of this team in 2014, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was there for all of those, and then we flipped him to Denver for this guy that wasn't worth the time of day. But it was a good trade because Kawhi was taking up too much money and he wasn't progressing extremely well. Like, he was solid, but he wasn't real-life Kawhi, which hurt because I love Kawhi Leonard. And there was actually, oh yeah, that's right, in the 2014 offseason, there was one point where I had, like, I traded for DeMar DeRozan. I traded someone to Toronto for DeRozan. Josh Smith. After I traded Kobe for him. Yeah, there was like a long, long tree, and I'll put it in the comments, I promise. I'll copy and paste and just give it in full because it's freaking hilarious. Bob Kirkland. I think this is a guy that we drafted. I think this was our, may have been our 2014 first round pick. I'm not sure. Had him for a good number of years. And he was traded to the Pacers to get Mac Payton. He was traded along with someone else, and I can't remember who it was. It was, I think, Bradley Gentry was his name, who was a CPU-generated solid backup center, was freaking good. So solid. And 2015, we almost made it to the finals. I know I'm bouncing around here, but it's the middle of night. I have ADHD. Let's keep going through it. We got the Bucks. We meaning the Bucks, which is ironic considering I'm actually a Heat fan in real life since 2004 when Shaq got dealt there. And I've been a Heat fan ever since. I love what they're doing now. Because I love the team culture. And I guess as a Heat fan, I would be excited about this 3 titles in 4 years and then just like, welcome to your overlords from the Central Division. Welcome to hell. And just like, forget Chicago, the Bucks, right? But we were the 8th seed in 2015. We got in with a record of, I think, 42-40. And we made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. We came back from a 3-1 deficit. And I freaking tried and could not beat Miami. We could have had 18 straight. Dag nabbit. And they beat the Thunder in the finals, which is funny considering what the 2015 Thunder were like in real life. Because remember, That season was the one where Durant was hurt right after his MVP season. Westbrook was hurt. I think less than Durant was that season. It was a horrible year for the Thunder because they missed the playoffs. And then everyone knows what happened the next year, and then Durant leaving and blah, blah, blah. We don't need to go back through all that. The Pelicans, we came back from a 3-1 deficit in the finals in 2016. And I'm not making this up. And I played Game 6 and Game 7, and I let the sim handle the rest. And I'm so happy that we won that. And yeah, this is back when they still had Anthony Davis. And in 2K, the Pelicans, they're generally really, really good. Within, like, because going into the 2014 season, they had Eric Gordon, Tyreek Evans, Drew Holiday, Anthony Davis. They had a really solid young core, and within a few years, they get really good and go to the finals. And we freaking beat them. And this was when we were just kind of that sort of grassroots NBA team a little bit. Not grassroots, but like we were the kind of the small market favorite, even though New Orleans was also a small market. But for the first time in 45 years, Milwaukee, the Bucks won a title. And dang, it was phenomenal. It was freaking phenomenal. We had MCW, we had Kawhi Leonard, we had Drummond. Oh my god, I'm trying to remember who was on that team. And I can't remember off the top of my head, which is disappointing. I should. But you have to realize that this rebuild was spread out over a week and a half. So I'm not going to remember every little thing. Lowry was on that team. He was MCW's backup, and by MCW, of course, I mean Michael Carter-Williams. How many freaking... like, who... Anyway. I'll remember at a more relevant time, or maybe I won't remember. Because there's a lot of forgettable things in this rebuild. And things that I'm beats I'm hoping to hit. Season awards. Kevin Durant just went right on winning. 7, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. 6? Yeah, 6 in a row, yeah. And LeBron just like, boop, interrupted that little streak. But yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 MVPs. I forgot. 10 MVPs in 11 seasons. And he retired winning 4 straight titles. Because, yeah, this is the year that he came off the bench and sort of passed the torch to Otis Cobb. And we've had MVPs ever since. 4 straight MVPs for Otis Cobb. And then Mac Payton. Then Tommy Bernard, that awesome big man I talked about earlier, and Stuart Barrow, the sort of surprise MVP. The guy I didn't think would get MVP. I thought it was going to be Tommy Bernard again. And yeah, LeBron, he only retired with 3 rings, all from Miami. I wanted to get him in the 2014 offseason. He declined his player option, which got me excited. And then I go to the free agency screen and he wasn't there. I was livid and went to check, and he had signed like a 5-year, $110 million contract. And yeah. So I had to rebuild on the fly. Which is part of why, signing Kobe, trading him for Josh Smith, and then trading him for DeRozan, and all the other moves that you'll see in the comments section. And we almost pulled a 99 New York Knicks and went to the finals. We would have been the second 8th seed ever to go to the finals, and we almost did it. The only mistake, the only thing that prevented us from going to the finals that year was the way I managed the lineups. Because I changed the lineups the next year and we won the whole thing. It was a little hard, but we did it. Let's see. Coach of the Year. Here we go. Oh, Um, and yeah, you know. And we'll go back to the finals matchups eventually and just talk about, because Damian Lillard and the Blazers played us a lot, we beat them. And then he came and played for us. And why is it Terry Stotts always gets fired from the Blazers? He's still there in real life. And Scott Brooks outlived his real life expiration date with the Thunder. Donnell Valentine, which, by the way, for like the last however God only knows how many years, we've had the best record in the league, and for like 12 straight seasons, we've won 70 plus games. Thibodeau on the Blazers, what? Okay. Dante Basso, that's the created guy that just retired. Like 2 off seasons ago or last off season, whatever. Donnell Valentine. He was the first head coach that I hired. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 straight, or not 8 straight, 8 Coach of the Year awards, 7 in a row. And Curtis Chapman is the replacement. Donnell Valentine retired after 14 years, which, let's see, 27. I guess that makes sense, because I hired him in 2013, so that makes sense. 14 years. And I've had Chapman for, yowza, 5 freaking years. Wow. A little interruption there by Phoenix, which surprised me. And somewhere in one of these seasons, it was like around right here, that we were not the first in the power rankings going into the year. That surprised me. I think this was actually the year. And Philly was there, and we beat them in the conference finals in like 5 games. So much for being first in the power rankings. Yeah, AD and Drummond made a lot of all defensive teams. I know that Anthony Davis was on some all defensive first teams. Drummond was on a lot of all defensive second teams. Oh, Nerlens Noel. He's always on the all defensive teams. Look at them. Like Nerlens again. Nerlens. And frickin' Nerlens Noel, and just keeps on going. There's John Wall on the Magic. Decent guy, solid player, but just never got a ring. Left the Wizards for Orlando, you know. Tried to have a Eastern Conference contender. Jackson Theus, solid player. We signed him in some offseason and eventually traded him for, someone. Again, I'm half dead. But I'm finishing this video come hell or high water. Kenneth Faried on the Blazers. Everett Patterson. In LA, they had what I called a Bucks of the West. Because they assembled a super team of guys, like really good guys from across the league to beat us. Can't remember what season it was. Let's see, which... 6... Wow, we're going back to 86. Hold on. Here it is. This is the year that we absolutely killed them. And they put together this... it may have been this year, actually. It was one of these years. That they put together a super team of, like, some of the best players. Like Devin Reeves from the Magic and some other guys. And they couldn't beat us. They could never beat us. Let's see, season awards. And there's also someone I want to mention. He might still be in the league. So, there's Jonathan Dennis. There he is. I wanted to trade for Semenko. Boris Macy. There's a guy that I had. I traded... I want to say he was a New Orleans draft pick. He was either New Orleans or Denver. I traded for him, and I had him for a good number of years, and I got rid of him when his time came. Which is so mechanical. There's parts of this that I just don't like, because it makes me feel like a jerk. Let's see... Jonathan Pittman. There he is. That's the guy who was the next franchise player after Kobe in LA. could never get a freaking ring because of the Bucks. Solid, though. I tried to get him, and it wouldn't take. Or, excuse me, Scott Warren. I think he won a title or two with us. He was not progressing the way I wanted him to, so I traded him. Can't remember what I got in return from Phoenix. And if I don't find it on my roster, I'll just be like, screw it, it doesn't matter. And notice, like, just, we get the best in the league. I mean, and when we got Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant, and we had Paul George in his prime or coming out of his prime, we created almost this power nexus where at any given time for like the next 10 years, we had like 7 of the 10 best players in the league at any given point. Which that's pretty much over now. Holy crap! I forgot about this. Nerlens Noel. He just like killed it. And yeah, there's Anthony Davis. You know, just individual accolades out the wazoo. But hey, Larry Sanders, remember him? I do. We traded him to Detroit so that I could try and get them below the salary cap so that I could try to go after Drummond, and it just, you know, he was eventually there. They had some sort of lineup with like IT, Kobe, they had Kentavious Caldwell Pope for a while, frickin' Larry Sanders and some other people. They had a nice little lineup. DeAndre Jordan, he didn't have great ratings. Good grief. Joakim Noah. I'm trying to remember if that was the year he won Defensive Player of the Year in real life. I think it was. Because remember, 2013-14 would be Season 1 of the rebuild, so 2K actually accurately predicted it. By the way, I wish Marc Gasol had signed with the Spurs in real life in the 2013 offseason and not with the and not with the Grizzlies. It's like, oh, freaking irritating. Oh, and by the way, this guy cracks me up. I'm sure they're not related, you know, because there's this Spurs great Sean Elliott, number 32. I'm sure that's just, you know. No, 2K just got so sloppy that they just literally threw a legend's name just right in there. Just like a classic player's name just right in there. Yeah, Otis Cobb. Yep. Oh, Pat Bev still there. Mike Conley, Leonard Hayward. Okay, now we're going too far back. Rookie of the Year. We had a habit of getting some Rookie of the Years. Ernest Byers. Kyle Richmond. Dude, Toronto, holy crap. Toronto's really, really good. Toronto is out of your frickin' mind good. Let's see. And this may seem like nonsense, and I'm sorry, I just don't have much to talk about here because all we've known is dominance. 19 conference championships, which really, that should be 18. 17 championships, the first being in 1971, and then the freaking 17 titles in a row. From 2015-16 to 2031-32, we have absolutely destroyed the NBA. And I bet that in this alternate timeline there would be a heck of a lot more retired numbers than that. 45 playoff appearances. And we decently quickly, when we got into the swing of things as a great team, surpassed the Bucks' real-life single season win record of 66-16. That's the season best for the Bucks. So, you know, Giannis, if you're listening out there, lol, that's what you have to beat. But we've been best in the division, best in the conference, best in the league for like the last 12 straight years in the regular season. 70 plus wins pretty much every year. 80-2 is the best we ever did. That's the best I've ever done in any rebuild. In the Sixers rebuild, I had like 79-3. I want to say in the Jazz rebuild, I went like 78-4 one season, but this took the cake. Probably one of those fun rebuilds I've gotten to do, and I feel empathy for the Bucks. Because I still think about how the early 2000s Bucks sort of screwed themselves over with... and I guess this video is both talking about the Bucks rebuild and the history of the Bucks a little bit, because in the early aughts, the Bucks were a contender, you know, and people talk about it, but I remember as a kid when Gary Payton and Ray Allen got traded for each other and just feeling heartbroken because both fan bases had to adjust. But Seattle giving up Gary Payton, Desmond Mason, and in my opinion winning that trade because Milwaukee gave up Ray Allen, Kevin Ollie, Flip Murray, and a 2003 first-round pick which Seattle would use to draft Luke Ridnour. Seattle absolutely stole Milwaukee's team. And that was like February 20th of 03, like right around the trade deadline for the 02-03 season. The previous offseason, because Glenn Robinson was disagreeing with George Karl, which that was the same reason Ray Allen got dealt, because Karl thought Allen was selfish, which is a sentiment he regrets to this day. Glenn Robinson got traded to the Hawks for frickin' Tony Kukoc, which I'm sad to say was a bit of a downgrade. And yeah, the Bucks made the playoffs in 03, which they barely missed in 02, but they never were at the heights of 2001 ever again. Which part of me really wishes it had been the Bucks in the 01 finals and not the Sixers. But people go into whether or not that conference finals had, you know, the league wanting Philly to win or not, or what calls were going what way. But I will say this. Even though there were some no calls or bad calls against Milwaukee, Milwaukee was also one of the worst teams in the league that year when it came to fouling the heck out of people. So there you go. Here we go, Hall of Fame. It's kind of sad when you start and there's Devin Reeves, who I mentioned earlier. Walt Hale. Started out in Phoenix, went to Sacramento as a free agent, and then eventually came to Milwaukee and won like 3 titles. And I think we eventually traded him, which was for the best. Harden. Oh, I'm trying to remember what he did in his career. But he wasn't real life Harden. Not even close. Was not an MVP in my, like, from what I remember. Cousins was in Sacramento, for a number of years, until 2018. Then he left for Houston, where he spent pretty much, if not the rest of his career. Unfreaking believable. Derrick Rose spent his entire career with the Bulls, never won a ring. Why? The Bucks. But it was kind of, even when he was healthy, right? Even when people are like, oh, is he, like, he's just going to come back better after the horrible injury in 2012, I was thinking he's going to be a really solid player that retires without a ring, you know? So, oh yeah, there's Blake Griffin. Made some finals appearances with the Clippers. I would call him Mr. Clipper in this alternate timeline. Even though in real life the best player in franchise history for the Buffalo Braves / San Diego Clippers / LA Clipper franchises, at this point Bob McAdoo probably, but hopefully when Kawhi Leonard and Paul George win titles, or a title for the Clippers, that changes. Durant in 25, Westbrook retired in 2024. I think with the Thunder having a pretty career, one of the best point guards in the league, never got a ring. Oh, Steph, he's not in here. Steph never got above a 90 overall, was pretty meh. Maybe was an all-star, but meh. Oh yeah, Dwight, meh. LeBron went for the money, stayed in Miami, and The exact opposite of what he's turned himself into. Melo, blah. Wade spent a few years with the Lakers after signing there as a free agent. Vince, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Nowitzki, Duncan, Nash, Garnett. And then, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of... In a rebuild, it's kind of sad when you look through it and like you're going through every season and it gets to a point where the CPU-generated players are retiring and going into the Hall of Fame. That's when you know you might be time to finish this. Okay, here we go. Bob Kirkland. And we're going to go through some of these teams and... yeah, I'm kind of drawing this video out, but... I'm trying to think of what kind of information I should tell you all. Because there's so much to unpack from this rebuild. And I guess we'll go back to past champions like I promised. Yeah, the Nuggets, they finally made the finals. Did they make the finals before that? No. The Blazers, with Damian Lillard, they were a thorn in our side. Yep, played them 3 times in 4 years. This series happened right after we... No, this series happened after we got Chris Paul. And he beat his former team, that's right. And then after 2020, we traded him to the Warriors after that season, right? Then we beat the Clippers again, and it was weird, like... And I think we even got him another time. There it is. Pelicans. Yeah, we beat the Spurs. That was when they, had somebody. Can't remember his name. Lillard. There was like a Spurs lifer I mentioned earlier, and I've already forgotten his name. Oh. Let's see. This is just... You know, I would recite, like, the Ozymandias poem, but I'm too freaking tired. Okay, those are the individual records. Well, what freaking ever. I want to see how many records we've changed, actually. Really? Nothing. We have changed nothing. Thank you, 2K Rebuilds. I'm wondering if that's Glenn Robinson or someone. And, oh, wow. That's probably Kareem. I couldn't tell you. Which, yeah, Kareem, probably no longer the greatest Buck of all time. Especially when you put together 17 straight titles. Let's see. The Raptors blow me away because they've got this great young core. Lawrence Moncrief, Marty Garnett, Kyle Richmond. Probably no relation to the NBA greats with those last names. Those being Sidney, Kevin, and Mitch, respectively. Right? What are you doing? Click R3. There we go. This guy is awesome. Tried to get him. But he's one of those untouchables, so it's like, dang. Marty Garnett. Tried to get him. You know, no. And then this guy commands a pretty penny in free agency, so it's like, I'm not even gonna try. I'm dropping the controller. All fun things are happening here. But we keep facing them in the second round every year. They're going to be the next great team in, you know, this alternate timeline after we kind of go by the wayside. Russ Patrick, we traded him to Detroit. Did he win with us? No, we just cast him to the side to the frickin' curb. Like we did with a lot of guys. Now I'm just being blunt. Like, yeah, that's what we did. Oh, now he's progressing. Hey, let's look at this kid. Well, I guess he's not a kid anymore. He's 33. 21, 22, and 23. Miami had him, and we traded... I couldn't freaking tell you who we traded to Miami. Might have been a big man. Awesome. And really has spent his prime in Indiana, you know. I think we've met him in the conference finals maybe once or twice. Um, you know, Vugrenich, I was interested in trading for him. Jensen and Jonathan freaking Dennis, I told you you were regressing. I freaking knew it. A lot of these guys have like 6 or 7 titles when they play with us. Derek Favors had 7. Oh yeah, that's right, we had Derek Favors. Um, yeah, that was our power forward. How did I forget? I feel like a fool. Um, and yeah, this is one of those guys who like we would have coming off the bench, and then he goes to another team and becomes an all-star kind of thing. Yeah. A lot of these guys scattered across the league. There's so many that I don't even know. Roland Jensen is their best player. I guess I could have seen that coming. He was on that 2030 team that went 80-2. All right. And I can't help but wonder, like, one topic that's been swimming around my mind while I've been doing this rebuild is, like, how would sports analysts be reacting to the dominance of this Bucks dynasty? Like, Stephen A. would be freaking out. Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, Max Kellerman, they would all just be having a conniption. Just, when will the Bucks dominance stop? I'm sure, like, this would not be possible in real life because the NBA would enact... Because we've basically abused the hard cap. And I guess I can show you in a minute. Danny Kemp, this guy. He's kind of been... I don't know where they get the name Danny Kemp from. Maybe it's Danny Granger or Danny Green or whoever. Maybe it's a fusion of Danny Ferry with Sean Kemp. Oh, God, help me. Matthew Perkinson, we had him for a title or two. And I promise I'm going to get to where I bucked the salary cap and the hard cap. Champion was a backup point guard, and eventually I realized he was getting too old, so I flipped him to Minnesota for that really freaking wicked good center. Tommy Bernard. Jonathan Pittman. Makes me think of a way that one of my friends, whenever he said Scottie Pippen, he'd go Scottie Pittman. And so another one of my friends and I would say, Scottie Pittman. This is for you, and you know who you are. Everett Patterson. We traded for him and then traded him, I guess, to the Lakers, and he never won a freaking title with us. This was the guy we traded Chris Paul for! And finally, 2 and 2 make 4 in my mind. That's right. We traded Paul to the Warriors for this dude, and yeah, Jonathan Pittman was a top 5 player in the league for years. Kind of looked at him as the next LeBron type and didn't fully become that. AC Singleton spent many years with the Jazz and then sold out and became a member of the Knicks and never reached the heights he did with Utah. He went to the finals in 27-28 and then left for the Knicks and just poo-pooed. And Utah went to the finals without him. That's the funny thing. Dane Smalls. Didn't he start with Memphis? Oh my heavens. Well, that's where he went in free agency. Good for you. Let's see. Oh, I want to see when he went to Memphis. My boy. No, spent 9 years in Philly and then has gone and spent 10 years in Memphis. Man. I want him to be this good in real life, too. I low-key like Nerlens Noel. And he was a good part of my Sixers rebuild. I don't think he was in my Jazz rebuild. I could be mistaken, because, again, I'm tired. But if you train him the right way in the offseason, he gets to be really good, and he was for a while in the league. Defensive Player of the Year every year. I mean, he's eaten up those awards, man. First team all defense every year under the sun. Oh, my heavens. Oh, gosh. And I guess then I'll go over my evil plan of how I... And yeah, this is in the off season, but I'm just showing you this. So I would... Hey, I can point. Here we go. So obviously, eventually, when you get people to a certain point in their careers, you can put bird rights on their contract, which means you can go over the salary cap and still sign them for however much. And it starts getting really fun when you start getting enough talent on your team that certain players start to go, hey, we're willing to take a pay cut to play for you. And it got to a ridiculous point to where we had like a starting lineup of what? I'm probably tripping here, but it was like Damian Lillard, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, maybe we had Derek Favors still that time, and... Or no, maybe we would have had Anthony Davis, and, Andre Drummond. Although I think by that point Lillard was coming off the bench behind Otis Cobb. But that was the, like, best real-life known talent team I put together. Like, known, not no talent, known talent, well-known talent. By the way, look at the staff budget. That's absolutely nuts. Because really, you only need, like, 8 million? And it keeps going. Up and up and up. And, yeah. But I think at one point we even went over the hard cap, which what? But we traded out of it, and it was great. What's great is making trades... I traded for Brandon Jennings. I undid the, I undid the Brandon Jennings, Brandon Knight trade that was made in 2013. I had Brandon Jennings in the 2014 season. Then on draft night, I flipped him to Philly for Michael Carter-Williams and like a second-round pick. He was in Philly for a number of years while I cackled and won with MCW. Holy mackerel. Which was just one of the tsunami of trades. I guess I'll just go back to this. But a lot of like $5 million, $6 million a year contracts, 4-something million of guys that are like, I want to chase a ring, I'm really good. And then you pull a switcheroo and you flip them to another team because you never put a no-trade clause on their contract. Now, at one point, I had like 5 guys with no-trade clauses, or 6 or 7 guys, and I could only trade like a few guys, but hey, the guys I put no-trade clauses on were fairly young enough, and then they got old, and I went, uh-oh. So when I re-upped them, I wouldn't put NTCs on them, and then I could flip them. I mean, heavens. Yeah, this is a lot. And maybe going through the history. But it's just like the Bucks were the overlords in this rebuild. Like, people think the Warriors were annoying in real life. Would you rather have this? Because at least the Bucks only went to the final, or not the Bucks, at least the Warriors went to the finals for 5 straight years. Imagine a team going to the conference finals, for 18 straight years. Because remember, we were an 8th seed that went to the 2015 conference finals, came back from 3-1, but lost to the Heat, and then ran and just rattled off 17 straight titles. And if y'all have any questions about this rebuild, ask me in the comments about certain things, and I can go into detail about whatever. Just because this is like the craziest rebuild I've ever done. So funny to me. 2016 we came back from 3-1. 2020 was epic because We got pushed to Game 7. Oh, and by the way, even though we had the better record every year, we never had home court advantage in the finals. I don't get it. I do not get it. I do not know why. It's freaking weird. But the Western Conference team always has a home court advantage. And so it's just kind of like, huh? But in this finals, Chris Paul hit a dagger to double the lead in Game 7. And the score was like 93-90, and he made it like 96-90. And that kept us afloat and eventually helped us win the game, and then we traded him. I feel like such a heartless executive, but I made a lot of moves to keep us contending, you know. So the question is, do you want the championships, or do you want the money, or do you stay in one place, you try to win as much as you can, you take a pay cut, and you never get it done, but you retire with your head held high, you know. This rebuild kind of made me think of like just kind of several NBA player moral dilemmas. I mean, because I kind of got irritated at Vince Carter when he came out and said that he wasn't going to go ring chasing, and I'm like, dude, that's like one of the only things you haven't done is win a title. I mean, obviously he never won MVP, but he won the dunk contest. He was a multiple-time All-Star, played for a good amount of different teams. Closest he got to a title was with the Magic. I still think he should have signed with Toronto last offseason, but, you know, just my opinion. The circle is complete kind of thing. And, you know, could have contended for a ring with him. You know, and hopefully they'll retire the number 15 for him. I can't believe Amir Johnson ever wore it, but here we are. Here we are. Clippers, Blazers. Oh, and the Thunder only ever made the finals once during our freaking run. And they got beat by Miami. So, they've only ever made the finals 3 times since going to OKC. Hey! Pelicans 3, really? Only 3 times. Clippers made it to 3 times. Blazers made it 3 times in 4 years. We beat Phoenix. Yeah, that was unorthodox. Beat the Spurs, Lakers, Spurs again. I think they all just bled together for me. Not as detailed as other rebuilds, because with the other videos, I was coming straight out of rebuilds that were taking like just 2 days to do. And just literally unpacking everything. So I'm sorry if I'm not providing as much information in this video as I would like or you would like, but hopefully y'all enjoyed this. It's been over an hour since I started filming. And I've just been talking nonstop. What else do I need to talk about? I mean, and that streak of like 70 plus win seasons, it started with like 70 and then 75 it was 71, then 70, then 75, and then we bounced around. We went to like 74, 76, 75, you know. I think we had 77 at one point, but the crowning achievement was 80. I'm never hitting 80 again. This season right here, I will never ever hit 80 again. Like, I don't think I'll ever go 82-0. So, that's special. Just the fact that we were that good. And that was before I traded that was right before I traded Jonathan Dennis and Roland Jenkins to the Nuggets for Ernest Byers. And gave the Nuggets a contending team that would face us 2 seasons later. I mean, we helped make teams interesting in this rebuild. We dominated everyone. We controlled the NBA. And starting from about right here, we would have like 7 out of the top 10 players every year. Until right near here, you know, this area, and then it got a little harder. And we weren't necessarily 12 deep. Because, seriously, I swear at this point we had like 12 guys that were 80 or above, or 85 or above. Like, that was how crazy it got. We didn't necessarily have that all the way back here, but we definitely had it all the way up here. We were great. Great, great, great. We just... I keep lamenting on this rebuild, and there isn't really much to say, except 17 straight. 17 straight. You know, I'll never do that in a rebuild again. And I hope I never do, because I will go insane if I do. And maybe I'll do some, because the only reason, like, I bought 2K18 for the PS3 was because of the all-time teams, so one thing I might do on this channel, is maybe an all-time fantasy draft, and maybe I can show, as I'm drafting, my thought process, and what I'm thinking. But, that would be fun. Yeah. Dang, it's the middle of the night, but it's fun. We had so many stars on this team that I've just forgotten. But 17 straight. I keep going back to that. You know, that's like the time in Madden 04 that I rebuilt the Ravens and won 5 straight Super Bowls. I'm never doing that again. Never doing that again. Which I've got a lot of video games to my right, vintage games. If y'all have any requests, you know, let me know. And I might be able to do something there. I've got NBA 2K2 through 2K14, and then 2K18. I don't have anything for PS4 or Xbox One. I have Madden 97 through Madden 25th anniversary, which was Madden 14. People call it Madden 25, but it's going to get really confusing when we get to actual Madden 25 for the 2024 NFL season. I have NFL 2K2 through 2K5, you know. I've got NBA Live 97 through NBA Live 06. I mean, and I've got some, like, Star Wars stuff as well, but this YouTube channel is mainly going to be a sports channel, but I may put out some Star Wars-related content as well, just about, like, how I would write the prequels or something like that. Oh, I've got NHL 2004, I've got NHL 2K6, I've got MLB 2K5 World Series Edition, I've got MLB 2K6, and I would, if I had something to put this phone on to just, like, stand it up, then I could, like, just show the TV and, like, gameplay of me playing. That would be fun. And just kind of let the game do the talking. Let's see, I'm looking. Yeah, I got a heck of a lot of games over there, so y'all have any requests, right? And hopefully y'all who know me personally can see this. It was a lot of fun to do this rebuild, and I'll probably never do something this freaking tedious again. And I know I probably rambled a lot in this video, but there really isn't much to say. Because, I mean, unless you want to ask me, like, how a certain star did in the rebuild, you know, because a lot of the like transcendent guy, not even well, sort of transcendent, right? But guys that are in the consciousness. I mean, like Paul George in this rebuild, for instance, was when I got him from the Pacers in like 2019. I want to say was the off season I got him. He was sort of like what LeBron was for the Sixers and Jazz. And so it's fitting that George retired with, like, Paul George retired with 10 straight titles. 2019-20 through 2028-29. Yeah, it's funny. It's a little bit funny. No, yeah, I'm just kind of rambling, so if anyone has any questions, ask me in the comments. And if you want to subscribe, great. If you want to like, great. I definitely would love some reinforcement, encouragement to keep releasing content. I love doing this. And, for those who have hung this far in with me, thank you. There's probably going to be like a lot more comments from me explaining different little things in the rebuild that I forgot to mention in this video because I'm tired. And this took a week and a half, so there were things I've forgotten, things that have been long forgotten that I'll remember. But this was fun. Annoying as all get out, but fun. So I hope that all of you, wherever you are, day or night, wherever, whenever, are having a great time during this rough time with coronavirus, this coronavirus pandemic. Stay safe, stay home. And for those of you who are working, thank you. For risking yourself every day for us. And I hope everybody's able to find peace and love in their lives in this trying time. If y'all have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you have any requests for future videos, let me know in the comments. I love you all. Until the next video, peace out.